Fam, it's this case that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. But this loving wife had lost her life to her own spouse on her birthday. Now this incident took place on camera inside their home, where it seemed her husband had spit on her after emptying the clip as she begged for her life. Now this incident took place back in June of 2023, which we'll later discuss. But trial had took place on the second week of March in 2025. And my plan here today is simple, fam. Bringing you a week-long trial in less than an hour. Talk about the key moments and where the suspects stand today. But before we go over this one, I want you guys to remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll jump right to it. Fam, meet Jordan Henning, a former U.S. Army service member who also was married to his wife Ashley Henning. And on June 26, 2023, Ashley was celebrating her 37th birthday, and the couple had hosted friends to celebrate. Now before we go into further details, there's some important facts that I want to discuss about the couple that seem to be getting brushed under the rug. The couple were active duty military members based at Fort Knox, with Ashley being a master sergeant the day she lost her life. She was deployed several times, making tours to Iraq from 2006 to 2007 and even Afghanistan from 2009 to 2010. But as mentioned, the couple hosted the party for Ashley's 37th birthday on a warm June evening with their children who was in the house as well. Jordan Henning, her husband, 33 years old at the time, had shot her multiple times, leaving Ashley deceased on the scene. May she rest in peace. A level condolences to her family. Now Jordan was instantly arrested and held on $1 million bond. And at that time, police learned that the couple was cleaning up after her birthday party when they began arguing. According to Lee, neighbors told police that Jordan had waved at them when he left the house after shooting his wife. He was arrested Tuesday, roughly 1 mile away from the house, and apologized for killing his wife, according to his arrest citation. Now this happened in Kentucky, and I want you guys to keep that in mind, because that'll later play key to his sentence.
Police say there was a birthday party for Ashley Henning here at her home in Rhineyville when she and her husband, Jordan Henning, began arguing, and things took a turn for the worst.
People had begun to leave, and they're actually in the kitchen cleaning up.
The call first came into the Hardin County Sheriff's Office as a domestic dispute around 9:45 Monday night.
It starts over, evidently there had been a slip and slide set up, and she wanted help in taking it down. And supposedly he wanted one of the children to take it down, and things escalate.
Police say Jordan Henning shot his wife Ashley multiple times while her children were in the house. A neighbor heard the commotion and came running over.
He ran upstairs, told them to run out, not go anyplace else, and then that's when he discovered her.
Police say Henning left the house and drove away.
Kind of waved at the neighbors when he leaves, and he stopped approximately a mile to a mile and a half by Deputy Daniel Shoemate, who done a felony stop on him.
According to Henning's arrest citation, he, quote, made numerous utterances apologizing for hurting his wife.
You feel for the kids and her because it's supposed to be a celebration of her life, of her birthday, and she loses her life on her birthday, and the kids are without their mother.
Henning was arraigned on a murder domestic violence charge Tuesday. He's now locked up in the Hardin County Jail on a $1 million bond. Mark Vanderhoff, WLKY News.
Just 2 weeks after this incident, July 14, 2023, Jordan via his attorney had pled not guilty. And after his trial date being pushed back from 2024, March 2025, his trial will start. March 12, 2025 was day one, and it was mainly his lawyers playing the jury body cam footage of their client shaking and crying during his arrest. That footage showed his actions as he begged deputies to take his life for what he had done to his wife, saying, quote, "She just kept hitting and I couldn't take it anymore," end quote. And other allegations of Ashley allegedly hurting and beating him over the years.
Okay. She was just a good, amazing woman, and she just wasn't. She kept hurting me. She just kept hitting me. She just kept abusing me.
So she's been hitting you? Has she been hitting you tonight as well?
Yes, sir. As soon as our friends left for her birthday, she started beating on me and hitting on me and yelling at me, and I just couldn't do it. I told her, I said, "Please stop." I grabbed my gun. I said, "Please stop, please stop, please stop." And she just wouldn't stop.
Okay.
I tried so
Did she hit you anywhere on your stomach? Do you know?
She hit me in the face, and then she hit me in my chest.
All right, do me a favor. Look at me. Do me a favor. Look at me so I can see your face.
Sir.
Let me see your face.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, please.
Hey, Aaron, bring your camera.
I wouldn't hurt much. I loved her so much.
Hey, buddy, do me a favor. Do me a favor, okay? You're bleeding. Don't get blood on my car, okay?
Am I?
Yeah, you're bleeding a little bit.
You know, I heard her. I heard her. I'm so sorry.
I get you.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, bro, you remember what I said before? I need you to take a breath. Take a breath.
Now, both sides delivered opening statements. Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Eric Carr said that the jury would see security video from inside the couple's home, which we just checked out, showing the shooting and the events that led up to it. From Jordan screaming at Ashley about how she dismissed him in front of the guests and didn't love him, to Ashley's pleas for him to lower his firearm before he opened fire.
All of the things he said about her, there's not a witness to bring forth to rebut the heinous accusations from that man. The only person who can rebut anything he said about her is dead at his hands. There is no evidence to support anything he said. Where did this all start? I told you that a storm went through that Henning house. It was Storm Jordan. How did it start? It started with him. It's a lie. Recognize it for what it is. Folks, that's exactly what I'm asking you to do. It's a lie. Everything he said is a lie.
You know, we've never once tried to convince anyone that Mr. Henning suffered from a mental illness. We never did. Our Dr. Anderson told you that. Their Dr. Anderson told you that. But it is a temporary state of mind, so enraged, inflamed, or disturbed as to overcome one's judgment and to cause one to act uncontrollably from the impelling force of the extreme emotional disturbance, rather than from evil or malicious purposes. Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Extreme emotional disturbance or reckless homicide is not an excuse or a justification for homicide. It never has, and it never will. And that's just the way it is. It never has, and it never will. It only distinguishes between the truly evil person, a mobster.
It doesn't matter, Mr. Eckert.
I don't enjoy being called a racist, and that's one of the reactions to this. I understand.
Mr. Eckert, I don't enjoy being called names too, but hey, I'm the one that decided to run for election and put the black robe on, so I take with it everything that comes with it. Nobody likes being called names. Unless you can identify that somebody that commented was a juror that called your name, it frankly doesn't matter.
Right, except I stand in my client's shoes, Judge, and this is generating
And just for instance,
against my client.
Okay, but that's not what your motion for the mistrial is.
Yes, it is. It says it's still up.
Well, but Mr. Eggert, your motion is not for a mistrial concerning pretrial publicity or things of that nature.
Well, it's concerning the post that was supposed to be taken down. And
Well, it wasn't supposed to be taken down.
pardon me?
That's what I'm saying. Mr. Eggert, I'll listen to motions, but the motions have got to make a little bit of sense, and you can't just, throw everything against the wall. If you have a specific motion, I'll hear that, but you can't just grab at things that you don't put in your motions. And things that aren't relevant to the bias of a jury and things of that nature.
Well, Judge, I think this is highly relevant. All I can say.
Well, and I'll listen to that, but you've got to tell me something specific and not you don't like being called a racist. Oh, okay, but whoop-de-doo.
Well, those were comments that I
Okay, and if it wasn't comments from, sorry that you've been called a racist, Mr. Eggert. I don't think you're racist. I hope you're not. I hate being called names on Facebook. I'm not going to get into a diatribe about the downfall of Western civilization because of social media over us being called names because of the positions that we have. So let's move forward. If it has to do with that post, I will, as I did yesterday, voir dire the jury if they have not had any type of heard, seen, anything of that nature, then we'll move on, okay?
Well, Judge.
Anything else regarding that motion has been denied?
Yes, I'd like to call Mr. Gillick to the stand.
I've already told you I'm not going to hear from Mr. Gillick.
Then I'd like to take place into the record, Judge. Some of the comments and response.
I'm not going to hear any of the comments unless you can direct them for a jury. No, we're not going to have a further. No, Mr. Eggert.
I want a record of what was done.
No, unless you can identify those came from a juror, that's not relevant evidence to anything.
Further, Judge, would move, as we did yesterday, to call Detective Vance because I believe it was Detective Vance who commented very lawyers that he liked the post, and we believe it was, and they said it wasn't.
Well, again, Mr. Eggert, I denied that yesterday.
Pardon me?
I denied that yesterday.
Well, I'm moving again.
Okay. Well, then I'll deny it again today.
Well, Judge, I can put it as a group.
Mr. Eggert, it's denied. Let's go on. Let's start a trial today, and let's hear some evidence.
I agree, but I want these in the record. I would request these to be in the record.
Mr. Eggert, it doesn't matter what you want.
I agree, but I'm moving time to make a record of your statement.
No, you're not. Not unless I let it in.
Pardon?
No, you're not. Not unless I let it in.
Well, I get that, Judge.
And I've got to deem it relevant to the proceedings, and right now you've not proven it's relevant to the proceeding. Mr. Eggert, you might want to have a seat.
Pardon?
You might want to have a seat.
Then I'll take that.
Mr. Eggert, you might want to have a seat. Thank you, sir.
On day 2, the jury heard a number of witnesses, including the daughter's 13-year-old daughter who took the stand off camera and described what she heard and saw that night her father shot her mother from her upstairs bedroom where she was recovering from pink eye. Judge Ashlock prevented the team from testifying about allegations of physical abuse that the prosecutor, Eric Carr, said she disclosed for the first time hours before she took the stand.
There are some things that have come up that we couldn't address earlier, and I want to ask you, I'm not going to have you here nearly as long as we did before, okay?
Okay.
Are you familiar with the idea of a top 10 list with Mr. Henning?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what you know about that?
It came up on multiple occasions. The idea is that if the world were to come to an end for any number of reasons, whether it's societal collapse or an apocalypse event, that he will be protecting himself and looking out for himself first, and his list was the people that he deemed to be a threat, that or could have supplies that he could use.
Okay. Do you know, you said it came up several times. Did it come up close in time to June 26th of 2023?
The last time we talked about it was the Saturday before that. We were having to get together, and it came up then.
How did it make you feel talking about this?
I'll sustain it to the extent maybe a better foundation. I'll sustain that to right now.
Sure. Do you know who all, he has a top 10 list of people he's going to take out. Do you know who the 10 people were?
Not in any particular order, and he didn't discuss specifics, but he hinted to his next door neighbor and my next door neighbor and the neighbor behind me would be on that list in no particular order.
And the other 7 could be anybody?
Yes.
Were you on that list?
When asked,
Did you ask him if you were on that list?
I was not told that I was on the list.
Were you told why you weren't on the list?
That I didn't have anything that would be of value, and I was not a threat.
What about his family?
At one point, he said his family would be just fine until they became a hindrance, and that Carter, the youngest, would be the only one to survive because he can pull his weight.
Were you uncomfortable with these discussions?
Yes, sir.
Let me approach you, sir. Okay.
What you reviewed would be inconsistent with what led us to be here. Is that a fair statement?
That would be fair.
Okay. Now, you also reviewed the security videos.
Yes, sir.
That the jury has seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also inform you that there's been testimony here that that night he was in a rage and he couldn't even see what was in front of him. Would that be consistent with an extreme emotional disturbance?
It would. It would.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, I think just by definition, just that state of being, so enraged, inflamed, that it does impact your rational thinking, your judgment, and so you're not, processing and working in a normal way cognitively.
Are there any other documents that you reviewed to prepare for your testimony today?
Again, those military statements, military records, some of the trainings in there. Also, in his records, you'll see some training for reflexive fire training, right? And a lot of weapons training. And what that is the way the Army trains or the way the military trains is that they want it to be second nature. They want it to be something you don't have to think about, something that you just do. They train for what they used to call muscle memory, so that when you're in a high stress situation, in a place where you can't think rationally, that kicks in, right?
Let me use this example, Doctor, and I'll let you continue. But if I'm in the National Training Center, you're familiar with that?
Yes, sir.
I call it combat school.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in actual combat,
mm-hmm.
and there's somebody over there shooting at me, I don't really have time to consider. Well, I wonder what kind of guy this is. You know, how many children he has.
Sure.
Do you have time to do that?
No.
And this is for the reflexive.
Well, yes. So that's where the reflexive comes in. Again, it's training for automaticity or reflexivity, so that you are responding. Your body's responding, and you know, again, it's muscle memory. You know, it's like pulling on more procedural memory versus more declarative memory, where you're doing a procedure, you're doing an overlearned act. And, you know, for example, you know, in weapons training, you learn, you do hours and hours of drills and things like that, so that, so if you have a weapons malfunction, you perform a certain task, you perform sports, right? Which is how you clear a weapons malfunction.
And as you know, the fact that he had been so many times, well, first of all, is that a lot?
It's a lot.
Okay.
Kind of like if you're driving a route that you've driven over and over again, your mind can wander, and you're still going on that route. So you don't have to think about it as much, or riding a bike.
The triggering events that you discussed, well, strike that. Are you aware that Jordan Henning has been at the National Training Center or Combat School 9 separate times?
But yes, I've been told that.
And as you know, the fact that he had been so many times, well, first of all, is that a lot?
It's a lot.
Okay. The fact that he has been so many times, that heightened his reflexivity, as you call it, especially when you perceive a threat.
Yeah. I think the more you do it, the more reflexive it becomes, the more ingrained, the more muscle memory kind of kicks in.
Doctor, again, after we've gone over these documents, tell us again what your opinion was, please.
My opinion was that on that day, that Mr. Henning experienced this extreme emotional disturbance, just based on, again, not a flashpoint, but just kind of a gradual building of stressors and triggers, again, from the family stuff that was going on, the alcohol, possible testosterone, the altercation in his backyard, and eventually it led to that disturbance.
Yeah. And Doctor, the materials that you reviewed and you relied on, are those the usual and customary materials that people in your profession rely on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Now on day 4, an emotional Jordan Henning took the stand in his defense and apologized for shooting his wife to death before recounting domestic violence allegations against her and the events leading up to the shooting.
Jordan, could you state your name?
My name is Jordan Henning.
How old are you?
34 years old.
You've seen the video and heard the audio, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I guess we'll go into your testimony, but what do you say to those things, the audio and the video?
They're horrible. They're disgusting. I destroyed lives that day, and of the people I loved, and I can't bring that back, and I can't fix this situation, and I'm sorry, and I know that'll never be enough.
Okay.
At any point you tried to make, did you try to make a gesture of affection to Ashley?
I did. When my parents called, and she was sitting on the back porch, and she was out there with Jessica, and if I'm not mistaken, Dakota and Andrew, Jessica's son, came out with us, but I tried to rub her shoulder. She kept shrugging me off. Would touch me, that kind of thing, and that's, I believe, the time that I tried to touch her then.
You had talked about sex previously in your in testimony, but apart from sex, was there intimacy in this relationship, affection?
No, actually, she wasn't. Her love language was acts of service and quality time, and so it was really hard at times for us to connect. Especially with mine being physical touch, she just a lot of times just didn't want to be touched. So we weren't really physically intimate.
What did she say when you did try to touch her that evening?
Get off me.
What happened next?
I took that phone call. Everyone was congregating in the driveway. We were talking about Jessica's wedding that was coming up, and my general had a rule, and I truly believe and followed this, that not business casual isn't the same for everybody. Some people want jeans, some people it's khakis, it's suit and tie, or suit without a tie. And so I was showing her, she was the bride, wanted her permission, hey, is this okay? And it was pictures of me and Ashley, and just outfits we had worn. I was like, hey, is it okay to wear this kind of stuff to your wedding? Like, because I don't know, it was in another state, so I didn't know what would be allowed or what she preferred. It was her day. And she was like, no, that one's fine. I forget which one she pointed to, but she was like, that one's fine. Everyone starts to get in their car, and I walk over to Ashley, and we're waving and we're saying our goodbyes, and I put my hand up on her neck and her shoulder again, and she shrugged me off. She's like, stop touching me. Okay. And that's where you hear her start to go into the house on the video, and that's the events that followed. We go into the house, and we start cleaning up, and I told her, I was like, hey, I just want to, what do you want me to clean up? Like, I just want to do something nice for you. Like, it seemed like you accept I just remember thinking like you accept everybody else's love and gifts and everything else, but like constantly rejecting me. And I asked her, I was like, hey, please let me do this, let me serve you, she told me just clean something up, and so I go down to the basement. I remember taking glasses down to the basement from the bars. We had a lot of that stuff, and then I remember hearing her screaming my name. I was just thinking, what did I do? What did I do now? About this slip and slide that we had talked about with Carter and the kids earlier that day, that, hey, if you're going to bring it out, and we all agreed, me, her, and him, that, hey, if he's going to bring this out, he needs to put it away. She wanted to do it for him, and I wasn't okay with that. Like, no, we agreed on this. Like, this is, his parents were supposed to be united, and I was upset at her for, just overriding me. It's just, she overruled me on everything, it felt like, and so I started yelling for Carter, and he's up in the shower, and he's on a whole other floor. You got Tyler playing his computer, playing his Xbox, and Carter's in the water, and so I'm yelling loud, and yes, I was upset, and I was yelling, and we go outside. Carter, I'm trying to show him, like, hey, this is where I was pointing to the drain spout on this slip and slide, because it would collect water in the end of it, and she's out there with us, and that's I kept telling him, he was like, where is it? Because it's getting dark. And I was like, it's right here. I was frustrated. And that's when she grabbed me around my balls and started smacking me. And I started telling her, let go, stop, please, let go. And I'm yelling at her. And she's pulling me from where the slip and slide was set up over to kind of the porch area. And as she's pulling me, I went to reach out for the banister, and I didn't grab the banister. I grabbed Carter, and somehow he ended up in between us, and I heard him scream. I had finally gotten a hold of her wrist, and I pried her off of me, and I restrained her wrist up by her head, and I was like, stop. And she had told him to go get Jimmy. And we're arguing, and Jimmy comes over and starts screaming at me, get off of her. And when I finally let up and let go of her wrist and stood up, he shoved me down onto my steps. And I just remember thinking, like, dude, you don't even know what's going on. Like, you don't understand even how we got to this point. Like, what are you attacking me for? I wasn't sitting on top of her, hitting her. I wasn't hurting her. I was just holding her wrist down. And when he shoved me down, she told him to run. And I don't know. I just took off after him. Like I was upset. I was mad. Combative headlock, and I just held him there until he would stop. Just stop. And finally he was tapping my leg, and I let him go, and he was like, I'm grabbing my fucking gun. And I don't know, I was scared. I took off as fast as I could upstairs to my room where I had my pistol. And I remember grabbing my pistol and my spare magazine and just thinking, like, this is how I'm gonna die. Like, my friend is going to kill me. And I ran back downstairs, and I didn't know where he went. I didn't know if he had left the property. I didn't know.
Carter asked for me. He asked my daughter, "Is your dad home?" And she said, "Yeah, what's going on?" She obviously recognized that he was upset. He said that my mom sent me over. She needs your dad's help. My dad is super mad at my mom, and she needs you to come over. My daughter immediately came to the stairs, to the cellar, and called out for us. When I came upstairs, she told me what Carter had said, and I did just that. I walked out the front, headed over to find out what was going on. As I did that, I commented to her, go get Jimmy, who was our other neighbor to the north of our house. Carter had said, Jimmy's already over there. So I came out the door and walked across the street, through our front yard, through the ditch and over into the front yard of the Hennings house.
When you approached their house, did you hear or see anything?
I did. So when I came out of my house, as I was moving toward their house, I was immediately aware of a lot of activity. In as much as all of the neighbors, there were many people out of doors, kind of like a crowd, if you will, but not gathered together. They were milling about, just standing around, wondering what was going on. It was clear to me that something had transpired that I had not heard because we were down in the basement, but something had happened. Some of the neighbors were calling out, asking what's going on. Some of the others I just noticed were standing out there. There was some commotion and some activity to the left side of the house, so that's where I went to. I went to that area. There's a chain link fence, 4-foot chain link fence that surrounds the back of the house. So I approached the fence. As I approached it, Jimmy Watts came out of the house. Correction, he came off the deck because the deck lets out into the backyard. He came off the deck and around the side to the fence. And the first thing he said was, you need to call 911. I asked why. He said that things were getting out of hand.
Without saying what Jimmy said. without saying what Jimmy said beyond the call 911, what was his demeanor?
He was distressed. I will use the word excited, but not in a good manner. He was clearly under duress, like something was wrong. So I tried to find out what was going on. As I approached the property, one of the other neighbors to the south side of our house also came over. He followed me over. So his name is Robert Jennings. He talked with Jimmy. Jimmy kind of explained that Jordan was upset. He was angry and was a bit out of control. To the left of the house, maybe 20 feet, is an opening in the fence, a gate. So he went to the gate and started to come around the fence. I was maybe 5 feet from the fence. Robert was in front of me. Robert turned around and motioned to me to follow him. When I did, Robert said, "He is not right. You need to get out of here. We need to get out of here." That's not a quote. That's the gist of what he said. I took that with good credibility. Robert is a retired military policeman. So, I figured he knew what was going on. I asked him why, and he said he didn't know if Jordan had a gun or not, but he certainly had his hand behind his back and was acting as if he did.
There for trial, do you recall stating that?
Yes.
And that you wanted to give an impact statement? Do you recall stating that?
I absolutely did.
All right. So, in fact, you were upset police hadn't talked to you, reached out to you immediately. Do you remember saying that?
Yes, because I was there, so why wouldn't they have?
Right. So they didn't reach out to you immediately. You wanted them to talk to you immediately. You already were talking about victim impact statements. You wanted to be, in fact, you said you weren't going to move until there was trial. You were planning to move. You're going to stay here until there was trial, correct?
I said that could possibly be the case. I didn't know, because if my husband got a job, I'd have had to move. I didn't get to dictate that.
Right, but I understand. But you said they planned to move to Virginia, but we're going to be here. Make sure you're here for the trial, correct?
I don't have to live here to be here for the trial. There's plenty of people here today that's here not because they live here.
Right, I understand that. But the way you put it is, and we have a transcript here,
okay,
that you are going to move. That you're going to move to Virginia, but you're going to stay here until the trial.
So am I moving or am I staying?
Pardon me?
You're saying both. Which am I doing? Am I moving or staying? Because you're kind of saying I'm doing both. So
no, I'm not. I'm asking you. You said you were planning to move to Virginia, but I want to be here for any trial. And if we get that far in the trial, I guess I'll give the statements like the victim impact statements. Correct? Is that what you said? You're already talking about victim impact.
Yes, because
right,
there's a victim in this.
Right.
Her children are victims in this.
I understand.
And I've seen what those children went through, unlike you, unlike Jordan, unlike a lot of people in here.
Ma'am.
So yes, there was victims. I was victim in this too, because I had to deal with the repercussions, unlike you that's reading off a sheet of paper.
Well, ma'am, let me ask you this, okay? I'd be happy to ask you this.
You voted for it?
Well, I don't know what you determine as long. I mean, because it was maybe...
Well, it wasn't 1 or 2 pages. It wasn't a quick 1 or 2 words, correct?
Well, I don't know how many pages it was, because I wasn't typing it out. I mean, I sat there and gave my statement, and it was probably a 45-minute incident. So however long it took...
45 minutes with the police telling them what you knew about the case, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the police, of course, wanted to know, correct, what you knew about the case, correct?
Well, they asked me about that day. They didn't ask me about the case. They didn't ask me about... It was about that day.
You talked about a lot of things, seeing him before, the friendship, how much you had to drink, how you bonded over soccer. You talked about the whole thing, correct?
Because like today, they asked, how did I know Ashley? Well, they led up with what happened that day. Was I there? Tell me what I knew. And then at the end of them actually asking me about that day, I mean, we got the transcripts, they said, is there anything else you'd like to tell us that would be pertinent information or that you think would be beneficial to us understanding Ashley and Jordan and what happened or might have led up to that day?
All right, what did you say?
Verbatim, word for word, I don't know. I said a lot. I mean, you said it was, what, 30-something pages?
Right.
So can you tell me what I said? And I'll tell you if I did say it or not.
Well, I'll just ask you what you didn't say.
Okay.
You never mentioned that he'd said before that he could kill somebody and get away with it. In the entire conversation, you're one of her best friends, you're talking to police, it's soon after the homicide, you never mentioned it.
Never mentioned.
You never mentioned the statement that he could get away with a homicide by claiming PTSD and testosterone and uncontrollable rage. You never mentioned it to police.
Because let's be real, who thinks that someone's going to kill someone was it premeditation at that point? I don't know. I didn't even think about it at that point in time, honestly, because you know what I was doing? I was trying to tell what happened that day, my relationship with Ashley, and I didn't think you were going to sit there and try to get him off on an insanity plea either, which when I found
Does the man deserve to be defended, or should we just roll up a white
Why don't we look at the video and you tell me? I mean, but apparently you'll take anything and defend anybody for some amount of money.
Hold on a second. Mr. Hager.
I'm not going on too much to, that's moving around the courtroom.
Judge, can I approach the benches?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right?
Yes, you did. Absolutely.
So you said you'd kill somebody, he agreed, and then all of a sudden now it's worked into, he said he could get away with it.
It wasn't worked into anything. That's what was said.
Pardon me?
You said it was worked into it. There wasn't any working into it. That's what was said.
Now, ma'am, let me ask you this. When you got to the party that day, okay, you saw Ashley, is that correct?
Obviously, yes.
And what was her condition?
She was drinking. She was tipsy. She was good.
Was she drunk?
Yes, she was tipsy.
All right. And then, did you drink?
I had 2 mom waters, which is 3.5% alcohol. The whole 6.5 hours I was there, so I wasn't drunk, if that's what you're alluding to.
No, I'm not. Did you take a shot with her?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We took 1 shot of that big of something. I don't even know what it was.
So she's drunk, you drink with her, I'm not saying you were drunk, correct? Now, this thing where he supposedly grabbed her, in the entire time, and let's go back to this statement, did you ever mention this time where he slammed the car door and he almost, it would have really hurt her? Did you mention that?
I couldn't hear you. You were walking away.
Did you mention that, man? That slammed the car?
I don't think dads, when I think of the term dad, I think of endearing.
Well, you don't know whether he's endearing or not with Carter. You don't know their relationship. Do you just hate him and want to say anything you can against him?
I was friends with Jordan.
I understand that, but you hate him and you'll say anything.
No, what I don't want is I don't want so the truth can be, this trial can be about the truth. The trial can be about who Jordan was, who Ashley was, what the situation was with the kids afterwards. That's what I want done today.
So do we, except the kids afterwards, we can't talk about that. But we want to get the truth as well.
Do we?
I don't know, I was just mad at Ashley and she just kept rejecting me and just, I don't know, just dismissing me. I don't know, I was upset. And when I was yelling at Carter, yelling for Carter, and I don't know. It comes in snippets. it's hard to piece together at times. I wasn't thinking at all.
Remember I said the location. The 6 to 12-person jury appeared to side with Jordan's defense and found him guilty of the lesser charge of first-degree manslaughter. The jurors later sentenced Jordan to 20 years in prison. In the trial penalty phase, the maximum sentence for the offense, he must complete 85% of his sentence before he's eligible for parole consideration. And during that time, Ashley's cousin gave an impact statement, and this is what he had to say.
In the case of Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Jordan Henning, the verdict on the penalty phase is we, the jury, fix the defendant's punishment for the offense of first-degree manslaughter under instruction number 1 at 20 years, signed by the foreperson. Again, let me ask, is that the unanimous verdict of the entire jury? All 12 members? Yes. All right, thank you.
The jury convicted Jordan Henning of the lesser charge of first-degree manslaughter.
I've served this country for almost 22 years. 22 years in the Marine Corps. I've deployed 7 times to a combat operation, combat zones. 9 times total deployed. And this is the justice that America gives me. Unthinkable, unspeakable, it's disgusting. Thank you, John. Cowards. Every single one of you.
Any cross-examination?
Every single one of you are cowards.
As we wrap this video up, once again, Ashley, may you rest in peace. I love and condolences to your family. Fam, if you guys like how we did this, breaking 6 days in less than 45 minutes, let me know in the comments. If you would like to have them longer, like we normally do, let me know as well. This is an unfortunate situation. We're talking about a young mom who lost her life with her kids in attendance by her own spouse on her birthday. Talk to me in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And today, I'll catch you guys on the next one.